Hey, everybody. Welcome to Do It Like Danny.
Roofie edition.
Roofie edition. I'm going to tell a million stories, and maybe one will hit home, and you'll be like, wow, that happened to me. And it's not about me. Well, it is. You know, television is a very, very crazy beast. I learned so much at Tyra. This is real emotion. This is something that I experienced.
I want the world to see what I have always seen, and that is the love that you have for just being yourself.
I love this person who knows who he is, who can make people laugh.
I think the script I gave you was a little bit different, but I'll take that.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm drinking at work because it's my show. I drink on my show. Hi, happy Monday, happy Wednesday. If you're listening to us on Monday, thank you for listening. If you're watching us on Wednesday, thank you for watching. If you're not watching us on a Wednesday, you need to watch.
Yeah, what are you doing?
You need to start subscribing to us, okay? We have some good stuff coming up. Thanks again. Thanks to all of our listeners. Thanks to all of our watchers. I'm a little subdued today because you're going to find out why in a few moments. But how was your week, Lou?
Well, yesterday we were supposed to record, and I had to cancel on you because I'm dealing with my dog is sick, and I'm not quite sure what's going on in terms of is she going to survive, or do I only have a couple more weeks with her or whatnot. I had to take her to the emergency yesterday. She's retaining fluid. She has fluid. They showed us in the x-rays that's coming up, like I think in her lungs, and could be a liver thing. So that was kind of like disheartening. It all started about an hour before we were supposed to record. She got out of her cage, and like an old lady, have you ever seen like an old person kind of just get up and then fall over? Yeah, so it was kind of dramatic because I never seen a dog do that. Oh, so instantly I thought she was having like a seizure or something because her arms went up straight. Yeah. So I ran over. She was okay, but she didn't look okay. So I had to pick her up, took her down somewhere off of, I think it was in, not Tarzana, Encino. So I took her to Encino, and it took from about 2 o'clock to about 6 or 7 when I got to pick her up. They had to run tests, things like that, and that's when they showed us the x-rays, that she's got fluid in her lungs, and that, you know, it could be a tumor. They don't know yet, so they're doing all these tests tomorrow. I got to take her to an ultrasound. It's kind of emotional. It's been rough because I've never really owned a lot of dogs in my life that have been mine. And, it was kind of a lot. I've been kind of depressed all day. I don't mean to bring down the mood, but it's when it comes to dogs, all of a sudden now
now you care.
I have when I understand what it means, you know. And I was talking to your cousin, Regina, and she was telling me about one of her other dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that, and, you know.
Belle, yeah.
And it's emotional, and today's been tough.
Yeah.
I did want to call you and cancel a couple times, and I was like, nope. Show has to go on because, you know, I got this. I got to do. This
is the platform to talk about it. I mean, because people have dogs. I mean, I would love to have a dog, but it's not for the sake of the health. I think it's just because I'm never home.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be so sad for me to have a dog and then never be there for my dog.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to be that person that like takes their dog everywhere with them because I think that's a bit much, me personally. But, you know, I've had big dogs. You know, growing up, I had huge dogs. So I want a big dog. I don't want a little tiny thing that a shit stain that you can just roll over on in the middle of the night. It's you're like, oh my God, kill my dog. Oh God. Oh my God, I ran him over.
Yeah.
That'd be awful. So is she getting better, or did she continue to do the fainting, or?
So she hasn't fainted since. I have her on pain medication, and I have her on antibiotics. They haven't given me an idea of what it is, but she definitely, as you can see, her stomach is expanding. Oh. So whatever is going on in there, it's painful. And today, trying to move her underneath her front paw, like under her front arm, she won't let you touch. She starts whining, whimpering. So she's in pain, and it's really, really sad. She's a really sweet dog.
Do you think that maybe she got into something poisonous?
I don't know. I mean, she's only 8, but I don't know if it's like a breed thing. You know, I don't know. I've never had a dog.
What kind of dog is it?
It's a mix. It's a mutt of some type.
Oh, and you adopted her, right?
Yes.
So she was already old.
Both of them are from what do you
Foster,
call it? Fosters,
yeah.
you know.
But she was already along. Like you haven't had her for like 8 years.
No.
Yeah,
And it's kind of sad because I've only had her for 2. And it was right around the time where she was starting to feel like, oh, I'm starting to enjoy this. I'm starting to get used to the vibe. So it's really tough right now. So I'm keeping it all in. That's why I'm wearing sunglasses. I've been crying all day.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Yeah, we'll make this this will be a kind of a toned down show for today, right? We're listening, going, oh my god, that's so depressing. And so
I don't want to bring everybody down on their Monday and Wednesday, but
my god,
this is what's going on.
No, listen, it's good. I mean, you've also been going to Disney though, right? Did you go to Disney?
I did go to Disney on Thursday, and my god, and I didn't realize that the reason why it was so crazy is because last week was the final week for the 100th celebration. So that Thursday was one of the last days that they were holding it.
Oh.
Yeah, so they've already taken it down.
That was a big draw?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't think. You know what, listen, I mean, I feel like, sorry, I'm getting bit by a mosquito. I feel like for me personally, like for Disney, because, I renewed my pass, but I went with the cheaper version. Yeah. I think we talked about this already, right? But just real quick, I feel like Disney... it's showing the lack of creativity.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the merchandise, the T-shirt designs, the banners. It's cookie cutter now.
Yeah.
All they're doing is just replacing the banner with something different. So
or
it's
they
not
reuse
like,
them from the last year.
Yeah, it's
kinda
not.
weird.
It's kind of weird. Like I don't feel like there's something to like be surprised. And I used to like being surprised. Like that's part of the whole reason to go is like, ooh, that's kind of cool, or wow, I didn't know that they did that with their fireworks, or you know what I mean? There's always something, but it's so cookie cutter and there's so much construction going on. There's just a lot of things. And like the treehouse is coming back like Swiss Family Robinson, and like people are like, who
is that? Yeah.
Who is that? Right? I heard a lot of people going, who is that? Who is that? Unless they're going to re-release the movie or reshoot the movie, which they may, and then that'll bring life back into it. But it's, the choreography of some of the shows. Oh, I saw Rogers. I think we talked about that too, right?
We saw it together.
I saw Rogers, and that was actually really cool. That was smart of them to bring that to the studio on the stage. If you don't know what it is, it's from was it Captain America?
It was from the show Hawkeye. On Disney Plus, and believe it's like right in the first episode, and it became a huge sensation.
Yeah, it
like
is.
Overnight.
It is right in the first episode.
Yeah.
You're right, because he's sitting in the theater and they're bugging him.
And he's like totally tripping out. He's like, they just made this whole entire thing about what we did as a joke. Now it's just a musical.
And now it's an actual 30-minute musical. I think it's 30 minutes, right?
Yeah,
a 30-minute quick, fast musical. And it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great.
And they did a really good job. I think the staging and it was good. The singing is like real singing. It's not just like, a few of them are recorded. Like the Hulk is recorded, and I think Thor is recorded. But the main characters, they sing their parts. And it's like Broadway theatrical singing. You're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, that's so good. I enjoyed it. I saw it. I loved it. So it was fun. I like stuff like that, though, too. It's very hokey. It's very cheesy, and it's perfect in my mind. So I went to a birthday party yesterday.
I almost canceled because of the birthday party.
Yeah.
And then we ended up having to cancel because of my dog.
And
it just worked out that way.
I had completely forgotten my normal, and I promised my friend John, so my really good friend John. So I know John from when I worked at Mimi's.
Oh, wow.
That's how long I've known John, since like 91, 92, I think. 91 or 92, I think, one of those years. Like, that's a long time. Like, I have a lot of my friends that my core group, I've had them for a long time.
I commend you for that, because I don't really have a lot of those core friends that I knew, like, when I was at this job. I wish I did. There's a couple, but there's not a lot. And for you, it's like, oh, I know like at least 2 or 3 from this job and this and that. I love that about you. You always just keep up.
Well, I actually belong, I think, with the majority of my 8th grade class on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's kind of weird, too. Like, you know what always surprises me? And it's not really weird. It's just interesting that, we kind of all, not all of us, but like, that we all kind of still are connected in my 8th grade class. Like, out of all my other classes, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
Except my 8th grade class, but I think it's really interesting. And it always surprises me to see that some of them never left the Somewhere San Fernando area.
They're still here.
They're still they don't go anywhere else. And I'm like, wow, that's so interesting because here I'm like my memories popped up. I was in Greece 7 years ago, and you're like, oh my God, I remember my Mediterranean trip, and I'm flooded with all these memories. Or I hate to bring this up, Jimmy, so sorry. I had forgotten I had gone to Vegas, and both of my sisters were there, and I had booked a suite or whatever, and Jimmy got super drunk. And I didn't remember it. My sister Cindy reminded me of this. And she said, do you remember when Jimmy peed in your suitcase? And I went, oh my God, I totally forgot. Poor Jimmy. I was so pissed. He was so drunk. He was drunk. Oh my God. And he's a great person.
Yeah.
So, now looking back on it, it's like, I don't want to be like some people and hold on to negative things. I had forgotten it completely because, it's over and done with. But at the time, I was really pissed. I mean, he peed in my suitcase, like he didn't know where he was going, but I watched, I'm like, what are you doing? And he didn't listen. He was unzipping it. And I'm like, what is happening there? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, Jimmy, you're peeing in my suitcase. And I woke him up from a dream. He's like, oh. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong? I was screaming. And my sister goes, I just remember you screaming. And you were so pissed. You were so mad at him. And I think she threw up that trip also too.
Your sister?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. She throws up all the time. There's a story. Do you remember when she threw up on my ex-girlfriend when we were at Disneyland for New Year's? On the bus. She's sitting next to my ex-girlfriend, and she's like, hold on. And she pushes her forward, and then it goes behind her. And my ex-girlfriend got up, and she has vomit all over.
On her
and that
back.
sweater was brand new.
Oh my God.
Just bought it.
Oh my God. That was a wild Disney trip.
Yeah,
oh my God. Maybe I am an alcoholic. I don't know. Oh my God. So, poor Jimmy, she reminded me of that. And then she reminded me that was the trip that she threw up on. And I was like, that's interesting. I totally had forgotten about that too. We were at the Bellagio and we were at their 24-hour cafe, and she goes, Deanna. I'm like, I caught it in the napkin. I caught it in the napkin, and I'm like, oh my God. So I caught it. It didn't get on anything because it was all in the napkin. And so I got everyone's napkins. Give me your napkins. And I put them all together. And then the guy was like, I go, we're fine. We're good. He goes, no, we need to move you. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You don't have to move us. No. We need to move you. He was very adamant. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. And he goes, no, when this happens, we have to sanitize the area. And there was a big protocol they had to follow.
Oh, yeah. Because it's hazmat.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
So I didn't, because I don't really even remember dealing with that at the restaurant. We were never really instructed. If somebody throws up.
But it's in Vegas, right? So it's probably, they take it a little bit more serious.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
Because it came out of your body. Amongst all the other things. It's so funny. They're so worried about that. But what do people do in the hotel rooms?
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. Come on. Get a green, a little fluorescent light. What do you call those? The black light. And it lights up like Times Square. Anywho, so she was making me laugh because she reminded me about that. I'm like, oh my God, I totally had forgotten about that. Poor Jimmy. I don't mean to embarrass you. I'll embarrass myself now. So back to John's 50th birthday. Like I said, John invited me, and he turned 50, like I did also too this year. John is pretty much responsible for, showing me the ropes of gayness, if you will. Yeah, he knew Jared. He knew
in
Jared.
a good way or in a bad way?
Oh, no, in a great way.
Because remember you had some of those that were, they kind of ousted you.
Yeah, and he was not. He was like, let's go here. He really got me out of my shell.
That's nice. So he's like your Sherpa.
Yeah, he got me on my shell. And we've just stayed in contact with each other over all these years. And we have mutual friends. Oh my God, it's crazy. How the valley works, you know, how you know this person, I know this person too. So it was wild. So I went to his birthday party, and wonderful people. They were wonderful. And I'm sorry, I should rewind. So my whole day was to work, record, maybe swim, okay? And then my sister and I were going to go to dinner. And so that was the plan, right? And so then you canceled. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll be able to stay a little bit longer at the birthday party because I was just going to do a drive-by. I was going to go, have a drink, and then go on my way because I had a whole day a whole day of plans, okay? And so it was at this Mexican restaurant. I had, I think, 3 or 4 margaritas, which they were they were good size.
Yeah.
His husband, Alan, paid for everything. It was like an open bar. And this is why you know that it was a great core group of friends because people weren't taking advantage of it. Because he said to me, he goes, this is great. He goes, people really, they're being good. He goes, we had a cap. He goes, and no one's near it yet. He goes, and that's crazy because, and I go, that's when you got a good core because no one wants to take advantage of you. That's the point. We're here to have fun. It was hot. So, and I did drink water. I even ate.
Yeah.
I had some beef flautas. And if you've never been before, it's called Mucho Mas. It actually was pretty good for a little dirty Mexican restaurant, in Burbank.
It's in Burbank too?
It's in Burbank.
Okay.
Yeah. It's right near the gay bar that we went to called The Bullet, which we'll get into in just a few moments.
I can't wait to hear this story.
Yeah, I cut the cake. I couldn't have been super drunk because I was cutting cake. I ate like 8 baskets of chips.
Yeah.
I was plenty of food in my body to be able to be fine. So we end our time there at Mucho Mas, and I walk over to the bar because it's in close proximity. So I left my car there, because I knew, I'm like, whatever, it's just across the street, no big deal. So we go to the bar, and I had $40 with me, okay? And the drinks are $8, and I know I had 2 drinks there, okay? Because I came home with $20, right?
Okay.
I was having a blast, talking to all of John's friends. I was having a wonderful time, and then I woke up.
This was at the Bullet.
It's at the Bullet.
Okay, so what do you think happened?
Well,
how many drinks did you have? Let's go through it all together as a total.
3 or 4 margaritas at Mucho Mas.
Okay, and then
for sure
two at the Bullet.
straight vodka at the Bullet. Now I will say this: they do have a heavy pour.
Okay.
Okay, but still, I weigh like 900 pounds.
That would have taken more, right?
It should have taken a lot more than that. I mean, Darnell and I at my birthday drank all night long,
and you weren't as bad.
I still woke up 3 hours later and drove home,
and you were totally fine.
and I wasn't like super fine. I was tired, but other than that, yeah, we were drinking and laughing and having a great time.
Okay.
And so I woke up. Now let's backpedal.
You don't even know how you got home.
I don't even know how I got home, which is the worst part of it all in this whole entire thing, which I'm not fucking a child. I mean that's like shit you do when you're stupid.
Yeah.
Right? I have a very nice car. Like, what is wrong with me? And what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right? Super WTF. And so at the bar, I was fine. We were in the patio. We were drinking. Everyone's having a good time, blah, 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 blah. And like I said, then the next thing I remember having a wonderful time. And then I woke up at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning today.
How did you feel? Did you feel like you had a hangover?
I don't really feel like I had a hangover. I feel a little queasy.
Queasy.
Like a little queasy, right? So let's backtrack now.
Okay. All right.
So obviously I'm missing a chunk of time.
Yeah.
Right?
And what happens when you are missing a chunk of time when you're drinking?
Oh, well, I don't know. Well, so here's where it gets interesting. So my mom happened to be hanging out with me. She's staying for a couple of days. And I came home and she got to witness it. Of course, I'll probably never hear the end of it. So she witnesses me. So I came home and I made myself a plate of spaghetti that was on a big plate, this big, right? And I went over the table and I must have passed out.
On it?
On it. And what happened, I must have flipped it over. I fell out of the chair onto the floor, and the spaghetti landed all on my back.
Like a cartoon?
Like a cartoon. Like a cartoon. Or like a 3-year-old baby.
Oh, my God.
So there's spaghetti all over. The rug is orange from the grease and the tomato sauce. And I'm passed out, right? Yeah. My mom goes, "You smelled like alcohol." And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's the garlic from the spaghetti personally, because I put a shitload of garlic in there. And that's just my thing. I love garlic. And so she said, "Oh, your car smelled like alcohol." I was like, "Why were you in my car?" Like, she's like Nancy Drew. Like, I couldn't find your phone, and I went to go look for your phone in your car. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but okay, whatever. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's just something else for her. And so I wake up in the morning. Like I said, I come out and there's spaghetti everywhere. It's on the wall. It's like I broke my trash can. I flipped over the plate of spaghetti onto my back. I broke my stainless steel trash can. I don't know how I broke it, but the lid's gone.
Aye.
Okay. I guess I must have fallen. She said I fell on it. She said I fell, and then I fell in my bedroom.
Okay, so
She
you
goes,
fell,
"Are
but do
you
you have any
sore?"
like marks?
No, I don't have any marks.
What the?
I don't remember any of this, by the way. I don't remember one damn thing. I took my contacts out, and I just left them there on top of the sink. Okay, they're all hard, and they were so sad. They were so sad, and I was like,
Story
oh God.
they would tell you if you could
Yeah,
rewind
let me get I got a new pair. I got to get a new pair. And I didn't even throw up. I didn't
weird.
throw up. So I'm thinking that I might have gotten roofied. Now I know people use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
But there's other factors that people need to know.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, how would you lose all that time? And
I'm
not
pretty sure I got
it?
roofied. And the reason why is because the old dirty roommate works there at that bar.
Well, why didn't you start with that from the
Well,
from the jump?
I wanted to say that for the end because I don't want to be
Wow.
I don't want to be accusatory, and I'm sure people there are very, very loyal to him. You know,
That's just too coincidental, though.
I think it's too coincidental.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's very coincidental. I think it's very. Now, listen, you're probably gonna go, "Oh my God, it's so easy to blame somebody that you got roofied when you drank too much."
Yeah.
But honestly, I can count how many drinks I had. I was fucking trash.
I mean, look, you and me have been drinking since we started this, and you in that process in the last 2 years have not been that hammered, and you've been with Darnella, and that girl can drink. She can drink a lot, and Matt can drink too. And you've
Mattzilla.
you've never done that, so that's why it makes
It
more
doesn't.
sense.
Yeah, and then of course my mother's there the one time, so she probably thinks I do that every single fucking weekend,
Of
and I
course.
don't. I don't do that. That's a scary thing. Like I'm an adult now. Like I have things that I need to take care of as an adult, and driving drunk is not one of them.
Yeah.
Number one, and number two, getting obliterated. I mean, I'll do it at home. Like, I'll drink a lot at home because I know that I'm home. It's controlled. Like, Darnell and I were in the hotel. Like, we stayed. It wasn't like we were in a bar somewhere. But I was in a bar, and I didn't even think of watching my drink. It's a gay bar. There's tons of people there. It was packed full of people. It was packed. So, I mean, could I have gotten roofied? Maybe. But I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything, and I didn't throw up. So it wasn't like I had I had that much alcohol, and I was falling over the way my mom said I was falling over, and she could be dramatic and embellishing, but the walls say something different.
What did your friends say?
John goes, "You were really drunk."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "What? I don't remember a thing."
Yeah, that's just, there's something there.
Yeah, they said
That's
that
just
you
too
were really,
coincidental.
really drunk at the bar. I'm like, that's so crazy. I don't even know how that. Yeah. Very scary.
I
Very
mean, is he
scary.
watching the show? We did say give him a good send off, did we not?
No. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's watching the show, but I mean, could that have happened? I mean, he was there working. He was moving glasses. He was doing stuff. I mean, I don't know.
D,
I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, listen, I don't want to think that about someone, but I guess my problem is, even though maybe people would fight with me, I do believe in some good in the world, and I would have never thought that he would have done that to me. But now,
I mean, he would come obliterated every night.
every night.
I mean, before we started recording video-wise, we would see him when we were doing the audio, and he'd be like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah."
Yeah. He obliterate.
Yeah,
He was
I mean,
really,
it just
really
makes
drunk.
sense. I'm sorry, but
What could he have given me? I don't know. I didn't taste it. Whatever it was. I didn't taste it, and thank God I didn't hurt myself, and
Yeah.
thank God I only had spaghetti on my back.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
something
I broke a
watching out
wine.
for
I broke
you.
a wine glass. Oh man, a hot mess. I was falling all over the place. Apparently, like that's not drunk. That's something else.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
something else. And as my mom said, she's, "You're not sore." I'm like, "No." She's like, "You just kept falling all over.
Yeah.
Falling all over the place." I'm like,
I think
"Oh."
you got roofied.
I got
That's what
roofied
makes
also
sense.
too. I really
You got
do.
taken advantage of, but didn't steal your money.
Because then even when like I've drank a lot in the past before, like I sweat a lot the next day. I'm not sweating.
Yeah.
Like I'm sweating because it's hot out right now. But normally, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? When you have the alcohol sweats, and you're like,
yeah.
"Oh God, I drank too much," and you're like, "Ugh."
You're getting it out.
You're getting it out, right? There's not a lot coming out of me, and I've been drinking a lot of water, and I really haven't peed.
Here's another sign too. If you were drinking heavily the night before, you smell it heavily the next day. Do you smell very alcoholic right now? I don't. I didn't smell it from you right now.
No, yeah, I don't. I have garlic, but Isn't that crazy? That's scary.
That is scary.
It was actually a really scary moment to realize, oh my God, I'm home. Oh my God, what happened? I was having a great time.
Yeah.
It was like a movie. You're like, ah, right. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm home. I'm in bed.
You had your hangover moment from the movie. Wow.
I did.
That's
I
crazy.
did. And my car, my mom went to she probably went to go check my car to see if I'd crashed it. That's crazy. That is so crazy. I just don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm usually the one driving drunk people home, and I'm more responsible than that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more responsible. But it was a great birthday. It was like,
from what I remember.
I had a great time with all of his friends, and it was neat to see people that I hadn't seen in years, and it was just it was a really good time. But somebody showed me a better time.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably stay away from that bar for a little while.
I think I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
That scares me.
Yeah.
That's really scary. That's super scary.
That's upsetting because people take advantage of people like that.
So now, looking back on it, because there have been nights where Matt's like that. You know, maybe they did it to him too. I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, you hear about it like at the Abbey. You hear about it happening in bars, but then I think, I'm nobody. Why would they do that to me? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, the ex-roommate works there.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, they're probably very loyal to him.
Because they spend more time with him, and who's bitching about you over there?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, there's that Danny over there. Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, they tried to. That's crazy,
That is nuts, yeah.
Yeah.
We both had a horrible day yesterday to some degree.
Ay. So crazy. Ay. Well, you know what is crazy, too?
Your crazy life story.
My crazy life stories. We got to get back to it. It's time. So I was, hired at the Talk to, head up their audience department. And, I don't do it alone. I had I've always had a really great team, our team members actually, to support me. And the reason why I say that is because I think I was the only producer that was able to hire my own staff.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, I think I was the only producer. I think there were other producers that probably could, but it was always like, this is a cousin, or this person helped out. Julie was always sending people that find a position for this person.
Yeah.
They helped her with something or from school, and that's a great way to work it. But like they say in television, it really isn't what you know, it's who you know.
Yep.
So I have always favored people that have worked in the service industry because, dealing with audience members, it is a service-based industry.
Yeah.
So whether they were servers, whether they were performers, or whether they, worked in, mom and pop brick and mortar shops, it was kind of more favorable to them. I mean, anybody could come with, the pedigree of I graduated from here and there, and it's great. Those are wonderful. But I hired a couple of those kids, and I say kids, and they were just terrible.
Yeah.
They didn't have any type of work experience whatsoever in terms of taking care of people.
They just thought they were going to skate by and get promoted because of who they knew, right?
And I think I attribute all of that, like what we call 10-second likability. I learned all that at the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
And I sat in enough hiring interviews to already know what I was looking for. And the truth of the matter is Cheesecake Factory was looking for a particular kind of a person, and so was I. And I would, go through all of these, interviews with these people, and it would just be like, okay, wow, great, yes, no. And some people would kind of be begging for the job, like, I really need a job right now. Like, you feel bad because it's, you wish you could hire everybody, but you just can't.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I know that Jeff and David also too will confirm the story. So in the beginning, my office was on the verge of being converted from like storage to an office.
Yeah.
And I was in one big room with all of them. And my boss is like, you're going to fit 5-6 people in here? I'm like, trust me, I'll do it. I'll Jenga the desk together. And I did. But I was in there with a couch in the beginning, and there was just random cabinetry. And that's where I had to have my interviews. It was weird because we didn't have a door to the outside. We were like in this weird corner, and one door was in a closet that went to the boardroom.
That's weird.
So you'd have to go out that door if you wanted to, provided there was no meeting, and then go out 2 more doors to go outside and through offices. It was really weird. And then the other door went out into more offices. So it was just a weird little,
the way it
like,
was structured,
yeah, weird little structured room, but it was big enough for all of us. And so I remember interviewing, and then David and Jeff said this to me. because it was hot. It was like 105 degrees. And they were trying to get the air conditioning to get, because the room was just in the back.
Yeah.
So there no air went to it. It was, I'm sorry, they had shut off that duct.
Oh, wow.
So I had to wait.
You would have been dying.
Yeah, we were dying in there. So of course it was dark, and of course, I'm interviewing them, and David and Jeff made me laugh because they go, "Wow, we didn't know what was going to happen in that room." I'm like, "Oh my God, you're so crazy." And so I began to interview people, and I hired, at the time, my budget was for 2 coordinators and what they call bookers, people that book the audience.
Yeah.
But we pretty much everyone does the same. It was just different titles. I had interviewed Jeff. Jeff was one of my very first coordinators to be hired. I hired another coordinator by the name of Ran, who was great also too. I didn't think Ran liked me. I don't think the joke was, he used to stare at my nipples, but he was straight. Well, why? But he's like, your nipples are always hard. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
that's a little weird.
that is a little weird. That's a little weird. But I don't keep in contact with him anymore.
You were technically his boss too, right?
Yeah. But we were, I can't say we were all friends.
Yeah.
It was, I would say this, listen, HR would probably hate me for saying this, but it was a very free environment.
Yeah.
Like we were all, that's what I liked about it. And not free in like a mean way, but free in like, we kind of just, everybody was on the same level. We all talked to each other like if we were having a problem. We would do a circle and put somebody in the middle and like, this is what you got to talk to you about, or
nice. That's
cool. It was nice. It was an easy. I really, really enjoyed the teamwork aspect of it, and I never made them do anything that I would never do myself.
Yeah,
because so many producers are like, oh, do this, do that, do this.
I don't want to do it,
but they'll never do it themselves.
Yeah.
And for me, I never really wanted to instill that. And then I hired, God, who else did I have? I had quite, God. Was Stacy there in the beginning? I can't remember if Stacy was in the beginning. This is the part, because I've gone through so many staff members. It's crazy. But the 2 that stand out the most probably are going to be Jeff and David. And if I don't mention Callie, she's going to shoot me. And there's Shannon. I mean, and I've remained friends with David, Callie, and Shannon. And I talk to the others every once in a while. But for the most part, it was, I think, the 6 of us. And David, the reason why I tell this story is because Jeff was hilarious. Jeff came with, makeup, and he was dressed really nice. And I'm like, oh, girl, it's like 105 degrees out, but kudos to him. And we were laughing because he tried to get more money. And it's like, this is the budget. Sorry, Jeff. Like, it is what it is. But he was good. He was really good. David worked at a shoe store. I got David. I can't remember how I got David. There used to be like all of these websites. Oh God, it's so bad. I'm not even full of information. I'm old. I'm really forgetting things. What was the name of that website? And I got him off something. And he had a little bit of production experience, but he worked in a shoe shop at the time, which is not even a bad thing. I'm like, oh, great. I hired him as a temporary.
Oh, okay.
Because I had a little bit of a budget to hire a PA to help us. And he ended up staying. He ended up taking over my position in the end, which I thought was wonderful and great.
Yeah.
I still talk to him every now and then. He was always my calming tool. He was good cop. I
Good
was
cop,
always
bad
bad cop.
You always need that little
I'm
dynamic
always bad
duo,
cop.
though,
And
yeah.
Dave, listen, everyone loved David because David was even Steven. Me, I was the one that had to make the heavy decisions of execution, And, David was great because I knew everything that David knew, and they thought that they would hide things from me, but I already knew. I knew all sorts of fun stuff that was going on. When you work that close with people,
Oh,
you
yeah.
just can't.
You can't hide it.
You know who's shipping who, and you know who's, yeah. Anywho, but yeah, over the years, they came and they went. We also had the pages. So the purpose of the page program was that you would get exposed to pages that would help load the show in on a daily basis, right? And it changed. So you worked with their page coordinator, and she was crazy. Oh God, poor thing. God bless her. She was crazy. Apparently she quit because of me.
Wow.
Yeah, but she was. The pages didn't like her.
Got it.
Yeah.
So she was just crazy.
It was
all
not a
around.
good fit. And I think because she was friends with the other page coordinator over in what they call Television City, which is off of Beverly and Fairfax, she wasn't going to go anywhere. And then one day she just left mid-shift. She went home. She just said, you guys want me to quit? And she had like a meltdown and she left.
Wow.
Yeah, I felt bad. I was always I was the one that always pushed people over the edge, apparently. Who knew, right? Who knew? High maintenance, Danny. High maintenance, Danny.
Where'd you go?
So crazy. And like the pages, like, you know, you would get them, and they're young. They all wanted to be on their phones. They all wanted to be socializing, and I didn't let them because in my mind, I'm like, you're here to get a position. You know, if Les Moonves walks down the hallway and you're on your phone,
You're out.
that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good at all whatsoever. And they could never get that to their heads. The ones that did, oh my God, they went on and they got jobs. Or I would take them and I would hire them as day players and we'd try them out and they'd get hired onto the actual staff.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
So I actually went through, I am responsible, and I can honestly say it, for a lot of the pages being hired and brought onto production.
Do they still have that program today?
They have the program, but I don't know if it's as used as much as when I was there.
Got it.
Because I'm sure other production houses use them, but in terms of audience, well, because of strike also too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not there anymore. So, but when I was there, I was responsible. I would say 90% of my staff came from the page program. And then whether they stayed with me or whether they went on to something different, that was the purpose, for them to get promoted and to take off, you know?
How many of the nepotism kids did you keep? Or how many were you forced to?
So here's the interesting part, because, you know, they don't tell you that they're forcing you. They try to sugarcoat it, and they're like, oh, this person, just, you know, if you don't have a position, but if you can make something work. And it was brought up multiple times. I did have one supervisor. Her name was Heather.
Uh-huh.
And we were great friends at the Tyra Banks show. She was a producer at the Tyra show, and then she ended up coming over to the talk, and she became executive producer at the time? I think she was co-EP. She came as co-EP, co-executive producer, and she wanted me to hire her boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
I think they weren't together, or they were on the, I don't really know the drama between it, and unfortunately she's passed at this time, so I can't really ask her. But, he was terrible. He talked such a good talk in his interview, and I was like, you know what, I'll take a chance. I'd probably be really good, right? And when we have David on, which we will, David will tell you some of the horror stories.
Wow.
That this guy was so lazy. He was awful. And the day that we let him go, he was like, oh, I wish I would have known sooner. And it was like, oh my God, like.
How did you not know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
How did you not know? Oh, it was terrible.
When you had those moments of letting somebody go that knew somebody, did that put a strain on relationships that you had with those either talents or producers or whoever?
Well, again, I think it was very unspoken, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't happy about it, that that had happened.
Yeah.
And again, it's not really said, but people's attitudes change and things become different.
But it's safe to assume there was some grudging there.
Yeah, it's definitely safe to assume. And I mean, it's crazy because you hear of all these different things. Especially in the first few weeks of production, people are getting let go left and right because it doesn't work out, or people are just, not, like I said, not a right fit.
Especially if it's a new show, that's normal, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to see what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, and people are like on edge, everyone's like, oh,
I need this job, I need this job.
Yeah, I need this job, and people are on edge, and so it's very cutthroat. And
did you feel like that at all?
Well, here's the interesting part. So when you work in audience, I knew this. I could always do their job. They could never do my job.
That's right.
Any of the executives or any of those producers, because what they learn, you can learn that. That's easy. But what I did and the culture that I created at the talk or any show that I work for in terms of audience, I was able to change the system in such a way where people didn't feel like cattle.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing when you go to these events. People feel like cattle, and I didn't want to herd them. I wanted it to be like calm and secure and easy. I never wanted it to be, line up,
the whips.
We had a number system, and like other shows that I worked at, and this is the truth, and people definitely caught on to this, but at other shows I worked at, they would separate the pretty people from the not so pretty people.
I believe you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't want to do that. So I figured out a way to challenge myself to see people with just seeing them for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, hi, how are you? Oh my God. If they were like, hi, in my opinion, it didn't really matter what they look like. It was the energy.
Got it.
So, because even the pretty people, some of them, I'm like, hi, how are you? And like, hi. And
They
like,
know
oh,
they're
yeah.
pretty. They don't need to bring energy.
Yeah, and I would sit their asses somewhere else. I
Yeah.
never gave them good seats if they didn't have good energy. But people who had good energy, I sat them in the best seats because I knew that they were going to bring that and be infectious and clap and scream and do what we needed them to do. And that's the point of being an audience member. You know, you get the people that come in, they're like, I hurt my back and I'm this, I'm that. And you're like, oh my God, like, give me a break. Like, you're here. Be thankful that you're here, that you got to wake up another day. Let's have fun.
Which one of your workers took that kind of work ethic and applied it to how they approached their job? And did you see it right away, or did it take you some time to be like, hey, I kind of realized you learned that from me, or you got that from me?
David listened to everything that I said.
Got it.
David honestly will always be at the forefront. I don't know if Jeff and I are still friends. We talk, every once in a great while. He lives in Portland now.
Oh, okay.
So he's up there, and we're going on a cruise next year together.
Oh, nice.
So, all of them had their own little things, Jeff and David are probably the two, and of course Callie. I can't miss Callie. Callie and I stayed friends for a while. Callie was good. Callie knew what she wanted. Kayleen. She actually wrote me a letter because she wanted the job so bad. She wrote this big, long letter, and she's like, and she was a good page. She was a very good page. And that's how I would know. When they would, execute the way that I wanted it, then it was great.
So she knew how to get to you right away.
She knew how to get to me right away. She definitely knew how to get to me.
She saw through. She's like, I know how to get this guy.
Yeah, and the word on the street was, be nice to Danny because Danny's going to get you a job.
But that's not a bad thing to be known for. Hey, do what this guy says. He'll make sure you're taken care of.
But see, listen, but the part too is like, I was an asshole. I was an asshole. So I'm sure I'm very hard to deal with, but I got shit done.
Yeah.
And I would get shit done that other people couldn't get done. Like, I would be able to do that. And so, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm just talking about like little things like, having the ladies come help clean or coming, and, giving them free flowers. I'm trying to think of all the different things. God, like tractors, and we would get deliveries for giveaways, and they would come without a lift gate.
Oh, okay.
So at our job at the Talk, we had a union driver that had a forklift, but he was only available certain hours. So if this delivery came outside that window, we have to decline it. And sometimes these giveaways were for the next day.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'd have to get into the truck and unload all of the giveaways one at a time, and like a chain into our storage. We had like 3 different storage facilities that we could put stuff into. And, it was great when they did gift certificate, but sometimes they didn't do gift certificate.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was product. Sometimes you would get all sorts of insanity and crazy things.
Can you give us an example of when you would be an asshole? Like what do you mean by that?
When would I be an asshole? Well, if the audience was out of control and they were being mean to my staff, and I always told my staff this, I said, I'm the one that gets paid to get yelled at. Nobody should ever yell at you. And the minute somebody yells at you, you call me ASAP and I will come down. And that wasn't like a fight thing. It's just I wanted my staff to know that they were being protected. They may have not ever protected me, because everything is cutthroat. But for me, I would always protect them no matter what. And there were a few times like, Danny, can you come down here right away? This lady is like yelling at me. No problem. I'll be right there. And I would go down there. Hi, how can I help you? And they're like, oh. So here's how it works. You know what I mean? Here's how it works. You don't just come into a free television show with a free ticket and start yelling at people.
Yeah.
I go, because that's going to get you a free ticket out of here. and they would be like, who the fuck is this guy? And you had to talk to some people like that because a lot of them came with the ADA. That was the demographic that this show attracted, was folks that had time on their hands. And that was it, and they all fought for the giveaways. And it was wild in the beginning. It was just like, what is that book? It was very Lord of the Flies. If you've never read that book, you should read that book. It's great literature. It was definitely Lord of the Flies at some points. And then, so we had to make up all these new systems. I had never been exposed to the type of regulars that were coming to this show. And then what was happening was, because they all wanted tickets, we started to celebrate the host's birthdays. So then what did they do? They all started to research the host's birthdays and then tried to figure out. And so let's say me and you wanted to go on a birthday, but we didn't know which day it was going to be.
Yeah.
So you'd book tickets for this one day and I'd book tickets for another day. And right, because they all had the scheme. I mean, the level of like, wow, you people need to get a job or a hobby. So do something, because they would fight and then they would start changing names.
Wow.
So that other people, so they would start changing names because, Martha already had tickets, but she didn't put me on her list. And then they started to fight with each other. Yeah.
Because they would X each other out.
They would X
So
each-
it's cutthroat on stage, off stage, and then at home.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is nuts.
The level of insanity. And then they would do some, and we would say, so then in order to prevent that, I think we stopped name changes. There were no name changes were allowed anymore. Like something crazy. I can't remember. I forgot what we gave them a length of time to make name changes. And after that, we submitted the list to security. And so we were no longer able to make any changes.
Wow.
Because once they found out it was a birthday, then on the morning of, people were trying to like change names or for holiday shows. It was crazy.
Yeah.
We also came up with a standby system so that we would always maintain and make sure that we were always full for every single episode. In the beginning, it was a little light. Luckily we had bench seating, so you could sit people either super close or super far apart.
Yeah.
And still look like a full audience. There's all sorts of tricks that I had to come up with and figure out, like, how to get, make it always look full. But of course, the giveaway days, we were always full, especially with the mothers.
We'll say that though, because that's a whole nother episode.
Oh, it's on their episode?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a whole
all
nother
right.
episode.
Okay, all right. Well,
You already said they deserve their own episode.
Yeah, they do deserve their own episode.
I definitely
huh?
agree with you on
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. So back then, I got my topic. Yeah, let's go back to the staff. So, going back to staff, over the years, finally in the end, before I got promoted, I pretty much had a great core. I had Alicia, who you met also, too,
Yes.
who I still talk to. Tyrone I never got to really hire. I had him for a day player, I believe. But then David was able to hire him after, which was great. And they were all great. I mean, I can't say, I'm saying, who did I know I fired a couple in there.
How many do you recall where you had to let them go? And did you hire more or did you fire more?
Oh, I've hired more than I fired.
Got it.
But
I think that's a good thing.
yeah, it is a good thing. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think, because a lot of them too got jobs and moved on, and I had to replace their positions. So like Callie, I had to replace her position. Shannon, I had to replace her position. Yeah, but I think I had a good core for a long time. My staff, I always wanted to have a very diverse staff.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
I had like one of everything. Like it was great. And I like that.
Yeah.
Me personally. I wanted to break the stereotype that television is all Caucasian. It's all white, because it is. It is. I mean, even like on the Steve Harvey show, when they showed the cast photo or the behind the
Was he the
scenes
only
people,
black dude?
it was like literally like 3 black people.
That's pretty wild though, huh?
It is wild. It is so wild, and that's a black man. Like,
Yeah.
support your own people.
Yeah.
Ellen. I mean, that's no shocker there. They were all white. I think I was the darkest person on staff. Did she have any black people? I don't think she did. She may have had one. I don't remember. Oh, the DJ Tony.
I was just to say the DJ.
Yeah, the DJ was
to fill the
black.
quota.
To fill a quota. Tyra had a diverse staff. There was
Yeah.
a lot of white people, but it was, I think it was pretty diverse for the most part, considering Tyra was, black.
Who was the one, I guess, staff member that you had to keep, but you really wanted to get rid of? There's got to be one.
Yeah. So the hardest person that I ever probably will, and I'll admit this because I don't work anymore, was Stacy. Stacy was very good, but she annoyed everybody.
Okay, but how does she annoy people?
She just was very thorough. I mean, and here's the thing: it's like it's
Like
not
by
even
the book
it's
kind of
not
thing?
Yes, right. Well, but
Got
that's
it.
not bad.
No,
though.
it's not.
But
But
Stacy was like amazing at like. So if I asked her a question, Stacy, the Ramirez's, I'm just making up names, are booked on this day, and she's actually, they have tickets for this day, this day, this day, this day. Like Stacy remembered all of that stuff. Like when she checked in, like she would always remember the faces because we took their photos. Like there was a whole release process also too, and Stacy was great at that. And one time, one of the giveaways, here's what I say, I'm talking positive about Stacy. So one time, because these people were awful, we would tell the gift suppliers on their gift certificates to give them a unique code. Some of them would put 1, 2, 3, and 4. They were numbered, right? Well, guess what?
That's easy to figure out.
Okay, duh. Number 1. So then when people try to go redeem their stuff, they're like, I can't get my barbecue. I can't get this. And we look at the gift certificates and we're like, we told the gift supplier person not to do this, right? So then it became my problem. Because now I got people that are not getting what they were promised.
Yes.
That's the problem. So now the brand has to fulfill more than they contractually agreed to.
But whose fault? That's not yours. It's theirs.
It's not
right?
ours. It's theirs. It's written in all of our paperwork. But then you know for a fact they're never going to work with you again.
I was just going to say, yeah, they're not going to come
and
back.
And so it's like we lost so many brands because of these audience members because they were so awful. I did a purse giveaway, and the lady, they did do a code. She did everything that she was supposed to do, right? But somebody found out there was a glitch in the ordering system, and they were able to order like 20 purses at a time. And one lady, Stacy, tracked it down. Stacy found out who it was. Stacy goes, let me see the list, because we had the list of names of the people that had double ordered. Stacy found them in the computer system and found out who they knew, who they came with.
Wow.
Oh my God, and she found the actual lady that gave the code to everybody.
And she works for the CIA now, I think?
Right, I think that, honestly, like, I don't think audience was for Stacy. I think the CIA or the FBI.
God, she's a fucking detective.
She was an amazing
Yeah.
detective. I will say that. But I got a lot of complaints about her, and it was just she always wanted to be right. And you know what? She probably was 99.9% of the time.
I mean, it sounds like she's pretty thorough.
So when I tried to get her, I think I couldn't fire her because one of her family members worked higher up in corporate, and I had gone to HR, and HR was like, well, we need to make sure first that we can have you let her go, right? She was I had everything in place, crossed my T's, dotted my I's. And HR was like, well, do you know for a fact, like, you really can do without her? And I was like, well, I'm getting a lot of complaints. This happened. And, she's annoying everybody, and it's just not working. It's not a fit anymore.
So you didn't want to fire her because she was bad at her job. It was just more or less she probably created a chaotic work environment.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, she was she's like me. She's very high maintenance, and it was like, but she was good. That was the hardest one, because I really sat and I thought about it for a while, but there was just so much coming back, and she wasn't a terrible person.
Yeah.
We just didn't click with her.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a harmonious environment.
Yeah. She was good to have, but just not for that particular set or job. Maybe on like a different show.
I honestly think that she would have done very well had she gone into the FBI or CIA. I swear to God.
Or accounting.
Or something. Yeah, she was she was great at math. I mean, she was very good. And so I think when it came down to it, I think that originally they signed off on it, and then I think when they found out who she was or who she was connected to, it came back, well, we really would, have you had conversations with her? Have you created a paper trail? And I'm like, I did. I've coached her. I have all my proof here. Well, we really, here's what we want to do. We would like to rehabilitate our employees, right? They gave me all this like bullshit propaganda.
Did they rehabilitate you?
No.
There you go.
Okay. And we just want to give this employee another chance.
Jesus Christ, man.
I'm like, okay. So then I couldn't.
Yeah.
So then I began more of a paper trail, but then I got promoted, and then that was, I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But she was very good, and she greeted people, and she was nice, but she just came off as very short to some people. You either liked her or you didn't like her.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah.
You either like me or you don't like me. There's no in between. There's no like, people either love me or they're like, oh, I fucking hate that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Did you ever have a favorite you had to fire?
I have a favorite that had a fire.
For whatever reason, maybe the talent didn't like them, or they had made a mistake. that you just couldn't help them?
Not that I can remember. No.
So yeah, you kept your close-knit ship pretty.
Yeah, I kept it pretty tight. I mean, and you heard Alicia before. She's like, yeah, I was very strict. And I'm thinking, I didn't think I was that strict, but I guess I was very strict. Like, listening to some of their stories now, which is why I can't wait to have them on, so they can dish their... Listen, I'm totally happy to listen to it. I'm sure David has a shitload of stories. I mean, David was the closest to me out of all of them. You know, and they used to think that he was untouchable because, you know, some of them would say, oh, David's untouchable. And it's like, well, he did a lot for me. Like, I can't complain. He was very good. He listened to everything that I said.
When you hired him, did you expect him to be your right hand?
I never did. No. But when I hired him, he was good. He would shovel shit if we needed him to shovel shit. And that's what you kind of need.
That's what you're looking for, yeah.
That's what I was looking for. I was looking for people that were willing to get their hands dirty because it's not an easy job. There's, you know, the moving of boxes. There's, you know, the paperwork. There's all sorts of systems that are in place that the outside world will never get to see. There was the accounting report. There was financials because the giveaways are considered assets of the company. And, you know, there's all these different things. I don't want to go into audience because we'll save that for a different day, but there's more.
Yeah.
There's so much more. And my team did so much. They did a lot. And I think the executives saw us always having a good time. We were always laughing. We were always having a good time. We were in that room hidden away in the back, and my boss would say, I can hear you guys through the vents laughing. Danny, you're so loud. Danny, you're so loud. I guess I'd be like, laughing.
Well, we're just a loud family, you know.
We are just a loud family. But, you know, I for as much as I put them to work, is as much as I gave them praise, and as much as I would take them out and get drinks and food. And yes, there were some that were like only there for the free food. I couldn't judge at that point. You know what I mean? I can't be the judge anymore. That's for sure. And it just was, they were great. If I could have given them cash, I would have given them cash if I could have. I'm sure Alicia would have liked that. But they were all great. They were all, because they were all extensions of me. And that is what, you know, you try to instill in your I try to make like a family. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, for some people it worked, for some people that it didn't. And I think the other executives saw that and they were like, oh my God, Danny's little minions. Because we all walked together. We walked together. We went to lunch together. We did a lot of things together. Yeah. Because that's a team. That's what a team does.
That's exactly what it should be.
I think that it wasn't instilled in the other departments. So I think people were very jealous. People hated me. People hated me because I was able to hire my own staff. I heard it. I've heard all the stories. Oh, I mean, you're the luckiest person. You get to hire who you want. We get whoever comes to the door. We don't have a choice.
Isn't it funny how people kind of give themselves up by saying stuff like that?
Yeah. Oh my God. People
let you know.
People hated me because, you know, your whole team was you guys always went to lunch together. You guys always sat together to eat. You know, we don't have that luxury. And it's like, that's not a luxury. That was the only time that we had to sit down and eat. Like, I think people didn't know enough to want to walk in my shoes. They thought we just put butts in the seats, but there was so much more that goes into it.
Yeah, and it's like, well, why? How come I have to be miserable? You should be miserable too. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It really is.
And we were always laughing. Like, that's one thing. We would have a good time. I always would bring my staff over to my house and give them wine and, you know, and make food for them. Whether it was, this big old pot of spaghetti one time, huge ass pot of spaghetti dinner. And we would invite the comedian over, Bill, and everybody. And I would, you know, listen, I have a little apartment, but I still gave whatever I had to give to them, whatever I could, you know, and if they appreciated it, great. If they didn't appreciate it, what am I going to say? What am I going to do?
You tried. You did your best.
I tried. Did my best. You know, it's easy for the people below me to criticize me on how I ran my department. But at the end of the day, it's like, you'll never be in my position. So you really can't say anything until you're in my position.
Exactly. And see how well you do.
Yeah, and see how well you do. You think it's so easy. You think you can do it. There you go. Have at it.
Yeah.
You know? So... yeah, so with all that being said, and we've said quite a bit at this time in this moment, thank you for listening to my hungover and our depressing show today. No, we hope you all have a great week, and we will be back again next week with another wonderful episode of Do It Like Danny. Thank you, and have a great week.
Bye.